Yeah, there we go. So we'd just like to say welcome to Sarah coming along, Sarah Wilson from Bonaccord Care, the joint equipment store. She's just going to go over stuff, some information about equipment. So I'll hand it over to you, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. I've also got Denise with me today. Denise is the OT who's based at the equipment store with me and is the person who is out and about doing the assessments in care homes. So I thought it'd be useful to have her along. Can I ask the other folk on the call where you're based? You know who I'm speaking to, seeing as there's not many of you.
I'm from Pursley Castle Care Home.
I'm based at Deeview Court in Kincorth.
Oh, yeah.
That is Jasmine.
Jasmine, great, lovely, thank you. So Wendy had shared some of the guidance in email from the care home contract. What I thought would be helpful today was just as well to cover some of the guidance which has been updated since then, and so supersedes it, but is also clearer, we feel, than what was written back. I think that was from 2012, and then in 2023 the Scottish Government brought out the updated guidance on the provision of equipment and adaptations. It's a mere 100 pages for when you're needing some bedtime reading, but we are there's one section around care homes. So that's the link that I've put in the chat, is to the whole guidance, which is this document here. It quite helpfully separates it out into different sections, and there is this section specifically on care homes, and I've highlighted some of the areas which are probably most helpful. I think it's probably key to point out that some of this is aspirational, and would be a good place to be able to get to. And here at the equipment store, we are really keen to work with providers to help get to that point, and to be able to improve services for folk across Aberdeen. So there's a couple of points just to pull out. Sorry, just give me one sec. Sorry. So in the guidance, just a couple of bits to kind of particularly pick out. It puts some responsibility onto care management, to be aware of the guidance, to make sure that people are obviously being placed in appropriate care settings, but that includes providing the correct equipment. The guidance also points out that it's important that people, service users, are not charged and not asked to provide the equipment, and that includes family providing the equipment. And it also points out that across partnerships, places which are taking interim beds, and it should have the same model, whether it's for interim bed or permanent care home placements. I've made this bit green because I think for me this is one of the bits that's aspirational, and it would be good to see some further development on. To support good practice, commissioning and equipment service leads within statutory providers should work with their local care home sector to agree the most suitable makes and models of generic equipment. That I think is for several reasons, to make it easier to access different bits of equipment, and then also in the instances where we're responsible for providing accessories for bespoke equipment, then it makes it easier and more likely for us to have those bespoke accessories available rapidly. It highlights that I think probably one of the big areas of discussion around provision of equipment in care homes is around seating, and in the wording that's in the care home protocol, then it speaks about standard equipment and bespoke equipment, and this hopefully gives further clarity on what standard equipment is, which is a range of products designed to meet more complex but common postural management needs. It will support a range of service users' postural needs and offers attributes which assist with tissue viability and the prevention of skin breakdown. The need for this type of seating is commonplace, and it's critical that these needs are addressed by the care home provider as an integral part of the care for the person, ensuring the optimum quality of life and well-being. That hopefully makes it clear around what equipment care homes should be providing. That definition of bespoke is only when the equipment wouldn't meet anybody else's needs, and we'll come across that definition further down. So it's very clear that this type of standard seating is available from many different suppliers and manufacturers as they're modular. So yes, somebody might have been assessed by an OT, but it's still a standard off-the-shelf chair which will meet their needs. And a lot of these chairs now have a really wide range of features, such as the tilt and space it mentions there, back angle recline, leg rest support, and different levels of postural support built into the equipment. These chairs are cost effective because if they're cared for well, they can be recycled and adapted to meet multiple needs of different people. And as I say, they're available off the shelf. So anybody could be contacting these companies directly, not need an OT assessment, and receive the equipment directly from the companies. And again, I've put this bit in green that it says that health and social care commissioners should be responsible for supporting the care homes to meet these obligations, and ideally this should be taken forward at a national level. I'm not aware of that happening so far at a national level, but hopefully that will come as this guidance becomes more embedded. So here we have the definition of what is bespoke, which is any item of equipment specifically manufactured to meet the unique needs of an individual. For example, the care home would be unable to purchase the seating ready-made. So that would be a rep would have to come out, take specific measurements, know specific information about the service user, and go and have a chair specifically met to that person's needs, which could not be changed back afterwards. We've already mentioned those bespoke attachments or accessories for a standard piece of equipment. So for us, if a home has provided a chair and then somebody needs specific lateral supports or a specific headrest, then that is our responsibility to provide, and we will absolutely do that. Or an item of equipment which would rarely be required by the general population within that care home, then it's considered bespoke. So as it highlights there, at the moment that still very much includes bariatric equipment that you're unlikely to then have need for that specific piece of equipment. Again, we would be responsible for providing it. And it just highlights bespoke does not apply to any of the standard support seating that we've already spoken about, as there will always be somebody who would benefit from that type of equipment in the care home. However, where the care home is temporarily out of stock of items of equipment for which it would be responsible, and the provision of equipment would facilitate a discharge from a hospital bed or enable a client to stay there in that care home, the equipment may be supplied by us for a loan. It says there of up to 4 weeks, which gives the care home time to have restocked the equipment. That 4 weeks, if the care home is showing us that there is an order in for the appropriate equipment, we will not take the equipment away after 4 weeks. We will leave it there until the equipment has arrived. What we're trying to safeguard against is for it to be a reason to not provide the equipment in the first place, which is why we're looking kind of for care homes to show us that they've put that order in with a company to replace the equipment. And yeah, where equipment has been loaned to a care home, as described above, it's not the responsibility of the partnership to provide. Care home must put in place the arrangements. And then there's a couple of scenarios. So all that leads to these key actions. That care homes should provide a wide range of equipment to fulfill their obligations to the service users and their workforce in line with the protocol for provision of equipment in care homes. Service users who have been confirmed as having an assessed need for specific equipment should not be charged for this equipment, and neither should families be asked to provide it. Commissioning and equipment service leads within statutory providers should work with their local care home sector to agree suitable makes and models of generic equipment. And these principles should apply to all care groups. It doesn't matter what group of service users you're providing care for, that should be the same across the board. So that is the legislation. So what does that then mean in practice? What it means is that we very much want to support you as much as possible in your equipment provision. We can provide an assessment and we can provide a recommendation. So you can put a referral into Bon Accord Care. I can put a link in the chat to the referrals page. It is likely to then be Denise, who's on the call, who comes and does the assessment. She will do the assessment and make a recommendation. And in that recommendation, we're being quite deliberate at the moment about pointing out the features that are needed in the chair. So that might include the dimensions of the person that's needed, whether the person needs tilt and space, any other particular features that are needed in a chair. And then in many ways, it's over to you as to what to do next. Denise can be involved in assessing using equipment that you already maybe have available. She can arrange for reps to come in with companies that we're already aware of. Or if you already have suppliers of equipment, then she can just leave that with you to then find to source the appropriate equipment, matching the features that have been recommended. Once equipment is provided, Denise can absolutely follow up to make any adjustments for that equipment and to provide advice for staff around the specifics of using that equipment. Sorry, I'll stop sharing my screen as well now. And as I say, we're really keen to work with you. So we also can offer training. For us, we're very passionate about the fact that a chair is not just a chair, and that you see immense other benefits when service users are seated correctly in terms of potentially their mobility increasing or improving, and around being able to access food and drink better, eat independently, drink independently, and we all know the benefits that that then brings. And also then obviously being able to access activities, whether they want to be reading a newspaper, colouring in, playing dominoes, whatever it may be, then the correct seating can help facilitate all of that. So we can do training around that, around the benefits of the correct seating and the impact that wrong seating has. And as I say, we absolutely want to help and support you, but we have to work within the guidelines that have been laid out, and I hope that those guidelines help make it clearer. I'm aware there's not very many folk on the call, but if there's any questions, more than happy to have a discussion around any of that guidance and anything that we might be able to do to help make it easier for yourselves.
Anybody got any questions for Sarah on any of the guidance or any of the information that she's given? Catch her while she's here. Must have been very clear, Sarah, then, obviously.
Great, I look forward to there being no questions from now on. And I'll put a link in the chat to, there's the, where you can make a referral to our service for an assessment, and that can be around seating, or it can be around shower chairs, it can be around a non-standard moving and handling, anything around kind of occupational therapy we're happy to support with.
No, that's really helpful. So, and I think, I think we go through spurts of getting no queries from care homes, and then we get a number of queries. So, yeah, we'll just make sure the video is shared and the link for people to make referrals and stuff, and then hopefully that'll answer questions that people have. But no, that was helpful. Thank you, and thanks Denise as well for coming along. Thought there might be a few more people and lots of questions, but you've always explained it well. Okay, perfect. Anything else? Stephen, Wendy, did you have anything else